Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Calvin Tobin Show. I am your host, Calvin Tobin. Today we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. All right, round 2 of the NFL playoffs is officially in the books, and we had an exciting weekend with the divisional round. And the divisional round kept us on our feet the entire time, with the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-20, and then the Philadelphia Eagles whooped the New York Giants again, beating them 38-7, completing and sweeping the Giants 3-0 for the entire season. And then we go to the Cincinnati-Buffalo game, and Cincinnati came out stronger than we all thought they would, because they ended up beating the Bills 27-10 in the Bills Stadium. And then the very last game of the weekend ended up being the lowest scoring game as well, between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys, and the 49ers ended up beating the Dallas Cowboys 19-12. Now, the results of these games resulted in some interesting facts. The first fact is that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to their 5th straight AFC Championship, and Magic Mahomes led the Chiefs the entire way with a sprained ankle, and because of that victory over the Jaguars, they ended up expiring Trevor Lawrence's perfect record on Saturdays. He was originally 37-0, now he is 37-1. And the other fact is, we are going to be getting a couple of rematches in championship weekend. And the first rematch is in the AFC Championship. We are going to be getting Joe Burrow versus Magic Mahomes again for the second year in a row. And Magic Mahomes is going to try and find every single way to beat the to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, because he is 0-3 against Joe Burrow. Now, the other rematch isn't an NFL rematch. It's actually a college rematch, because we have the Philadelphia Eagles versus the San Francisco 49ers, and the rematch is between the quarterbacks of Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts. And the last time that these two faced off were in college, when Brock Purdy was at Iowa State and Jalen Hurts was with Oklahoma. And this game ended up in a 42-41 victory for Jalen Hurts. And Brock Purdy ended up having an insane fourth quarter, but just could not complete the comeback. Now, the games of the weekend to watch is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Buffalo Bills. Then it was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. With the Buffalo-Cincinnati game, Cincinnati was hot the entire game. They would not and Buffalo couldn't even get anything going at all. They were able to score twice. They were able to get a touchdown in the second quarter, and they were able to get a field goal in the third quarter. But that's all that happened, because they couldn't do anything else. The only interesting thing that we saw Buffalo do was, from time to time, they had a little bit of nice drives, and they would get some nice chunk of yards on a good or great pass that would be like 15 yards or more, and the same thing would be on a run. And that's all Buffalo could do, and they only scored twice, which led to only totaling 10 points as well. Now, with what Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals did, they scored on every single drive, but 2 of them technically won. Their last drive didn't really count because they already had the victory sealed, but the other drive that they had that they didn't score on, that doesn't really count as well, because when they got the ball back, they had to go 91 yards and 40 seconds, and that's one of the hardest things you can do unless you're Patrick Mahomes, because he was able to score on a whole entire field drive in 13 seconds. No one can do that, but that's Patrick Mahomes for you. But other than that, what Joe Burrow did in this game, we all said Joe Burrow was the guy, and he has turned into the guy for for the Cincinnati Bengals, even with a battle line. And his O-line has stepped up, and we all said he would be able to do this if he had an O-line. And over the last few games, he's on average getting sacked 1.5 times. This guy is now no longer getting touched. The Cincinnati Bengals are about to become a more lethal team as time goes on, and now they are back in the AFC Championship facing the Kansas City Chiefs. And along with what the Cincinnati Bengals did in this game is they just continued to score drive after drive, and they were able to do it methodically too, because they took their time with their drives too, and they made every single play count. And that's why they're able to win this game 27-10. But here is the most surprising part, is that of what they were able to do to Buffalo's defense, because Buffalo had one of the best defenses all year long, and for a few of their best players, their average length of yards per catch or run was 16.5 yards. 16.5. That's how much Cincinnati had dominated Buffalo, and it's a little bit embarrassing for the Buffalo Bills, because at the beginning of the year, these guys, the way they played the Kansas City Chiefs in last year's divisional round, losing 43-36 in overtime, we thought for sure that these guys were going to the Super Bowl, and they were the Super Bowl favorites for a while, and it looked like that they were actually going to be able to get to the Super Bowl the way they were playing in most of the games all year long. And the fact that they went out like this against Cincinnati, especially at home, says a lot about Buffalo. Now, the Kansas City-Jacksonville game was a very exciting game. Most likely the most exciting game all weekend, because Trevor Lawrence was actually able to keep up with Patrick Mahomes in this game, and they nearly went score for score in the first half with the Kansas City Chiefs, but just missed it by one scoring possession, as the first half resulted in a 17-10 score with the Chiefs leading at halftime. But here's the thing. With what Trevor Lawrence is doing with the Jacksonville Jaguars, he is completely proving that he is going to be bringing a bright future to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's going to have one of his best friends along the way in Travis Etienne, because ever since they played in college, these guys haven't missed a beat. We can forget about the rookie year because Travis Etienne tore his ACL, and Trevor Lawrence could hardly get anything going because of a college head coach going into the NFL. And all that fiasco. But year 2 was when that magic started, and they did greatly in this game, because both Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, they combined for 297 yards, and they both counted for a touchdown. But yes, this game was close, and it was only by one possession. But here's the thing: when that happened, when the Jacksonville Jaguars started to come back, it was already too late, because they scored 10 points in the fourth quarter, but that was already too late, and the Chiefs had already sealed up the victory at that point. But a big reason on why they were able to keep it that close is because of that third quarter. The Jaguars defense stepped up in a big way, only allowing a field goal in that third quarter, allowing the Chiefs to get to fourth down and punt on a couple occasions. And if only they could have done that just a little bit longer, this game could have a totally different result. But as for Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, as usual, were driving their offense down the field and being the main part of the game. And Travis Kelce was the player of the weekend, because he ended up having the game of the weekend and tied a couple of records. What did Travis Kelce breaking tie. Well, the record that he tied was the most receptions by a tight end in the first half with 10, and then he ended up breaking the record for most receptions by a tight end with 14. And then his final results in the game, he ended up with 14 catches, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, he was a huge help for one possession because this one possession actually could have altered the game if it turned out otherwise in a punt or a field goal, because Patrick Mahomes scared the living hell out of every single Chiefs fan because he went down with a scary fall and ended up suffering a high ankle sprain. He tried to tough it out and played a few more plays, but ended up having the backup quarterback come in, and this guy is a name that we haven't heard in a long time. And this guy's name is Chad Henne, and Travis Kelce was a huge help to Chad Henne on this one drive because that's all Chad Henne played. And Travis Kelce ended up having 4 receptions and a touchdown on that drive, and that's what made it the 17-10 score before halftime. Now, with Patrick Mahomes, what this dude did is just continuing to prove on why his new name should be called Magic, because this dude could have not been more definitive of playing hero ball. This dude played with a messed up ankle for the entire game except for one drive, and that was in the second quarter, and he just played heroic ball for the rest of the game, doing as much as he could. And he is definitely going to go play in the AFC Championship. Yes, he does have a high ankle sprain, but there is no way he's going to miss that game. Not a single shot, because he needs to play. And he's going to be the very reason on why they beat Cincinnati. Because if Patrick Mahomes does not play that game, Cincinnati is going back to the Super Bowl. But here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes was able to seal the deal with a touchdown in that second half, or in that fourth quarter, and that's what sealed the deal for this game. But what Patrick Mahomes has done throughout the entirety of his career, it is insane in what he has done in his first 5 years. This dude is bringing the Chiefs to AFC Championship after AFC Championship after AFC Championship. And now, because it's 5 straight, because this dude is automatically an AFC Championship contender. And if he doesn't get to that game in the season, it's actually considered a failure. That's how great Patrick Mahomes is. And because of that, it's showing how much better he is going to get, because he's only at the beginning, and it's proving that his career is about to get more scary and scarier good for what Patrick Mahomes is going to turn into. And what Tom Brady did with the Patriots for 20 years, I have no doubt in my mind, and there is a huge chance that that Patrick Mahomes is going to do this with the Chiefs for the next 15 years, and it is only the beginning. All right, that's the end of the Calvin Tobin Show. Please subscribe to my channel at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports media. And please follow me on Instagram at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports news whatsoever. And I'm out.